So if you lock me up in a dark room and you make it eloquently clear that my only chance of getting out is to tell you the truth about today's poultry farming, this will be my truth. As a poultry expert with more than 2 decades of experience, I will tell you that poultry farming in Nigeria holds immense promise for profit. But did you know that a significant number of new farms actually fail or struggle to break even in their first year? In this video, we are exposing the top 5 costly mistakes that new poultry farmers commonly make right here in Nigeria. So without wasting your time, I'll jump right into number 1, starting without a proper plan and financial foresight. You see, it's okay to be excited about the business, but I see a lot of people jump into it just because they are excited about the promise. Also, there are people who start because of unrealistic profit expectations, and the social media has made this really bad. I see a lot of people promise you get 2 point something million to 5 million when you have 1,000 laying hens. How realistic is that? So without proper research, or if you're unlucky that you don't get somebody who is able to coach you, who is able to walk you through the steps, you might find yourself falling for all this. Some also underestimate the startup cost and even the operational cost. They think, oh, if to own a 5,000 capacity pen, if I have say 10 to 20 million, I should be able to start this whole thing. They don't know that poultry actually costs a lot. Conducting in-depth research or working with professionals like us will help you to also have adequate financial foresight for the business so that your business does not crash. For example, those who come to us and just say, oh, we want to start a 5,000 capacity layer house or a 10,000 capacity, I'll just calm them down and say, okay, we need to develop a blueprint for you, something that will help you to understand all the costs from construction to operational cost and all that before we start to talk about the promise of the business. Yeah, the monthly revenue, the yearly revenue. Of course, poultry farming remains highly profitable, but not when you don't apply wisdom. Number 2, getting poor quality chicks and sourcing from suppliers with poor reputation. Yeah, I understand that you're trying to save money and you're looking for the cheaper day-old chicks on the market. Because of this, you don't pay attention to who is a reputable and who is not a reputable supplier online, and you just pay your money to people. Some people are falling victim of those who will just take their money and never supply, and some suppliers will take their money and even supply them with poor quality chicks. As a first-time farmer, you might even be so unlucky that they will package poor quality chicks inside the cartons of high quality hatcheries, and because of that you think, oh, this guy has given me the best price, only for you to discover after 2, 3, 4 weeks that these chicks are not performing well on your farm. So it's important that you pay attention and do your research, work with trusted suppliers, and when it comes to chicks quality, it's a garbage in, garbage out. You don't want to be penny wise and pound foolish. Whatever you invest, you are supposed to get it back as long as your management is good on your farm. There was a time somebody asked me, why do you seal your carton? So what we do is when we get our birds from the hatcheries that we represent, we'll count and then seal the carton so that drivers will not tamper with them. So I answered the person, of course, you don't protect what is not good. You don't try to protect what you know is bad. So we can't put poor quality chicks inside the cartons and then seal it. Of course, the client will eventually discover. So we are trying to ensure that whatever we bring out of the hatchery is what gets to the customer, and that's the reason for sealing the cartons. So make sure by all means that you get quality chicks, because every other thing that you do on your farm rests on that input. Another costly mistake that new poultry farmers make is inadequate biosecurity and poor disease management. Actually, as a poultry farmer in Nigeria, if people have not started to tell you your own is too much when it comes to protecting your birds, then you have not done anything biosecurity at all. Yeah, a lot of people try to obey the foot dip protocol such that everyone wants to get into the pen has to dip their boot inside that water that is containing disinfectant before they get in, so they don't take in harmful pathogens into the pen. Yeah, people do that a lot, but there are other measures that they skip. For example, you don't just allow strangers to come to your pen. A lot of casualties that happen on the farm, the diseases or the pathogens are brought in by strangers. Your farm is not a recreational center, so you want to make sure that you restrict access to these birds. Before we talk about number 4 and number 5, which are very critical, especially if you're just starting your poultry farm, I'd like you to subscribe to the channel if you're yet to subscribe. This channel, through the educative videos that we'll post, has actually raised a lot of successful poultry farmers. And one way you can join that number is to subscribe and also click that like button if you think you like the content. Subscribing to the channel will only ensure that you see more of our educative videos, and who knows, the next video you see might also solve that other problem on your farm. So number 4, poor housing and poor environmental management. Yeah, I wouldn't like to talk about poor housing without considering the environment where you site your pen. Before you buy your land, things like the topography, the orientation of the land, and many more would also impact the kind of house that you're able to build. Take for example, you have bought a land that is very slopey, but then at the time you are constructing, you are seeing that there's so much challenge with filling and all that, so you decided to just manage it and you built a chicken house with the floor that is sloping. I've been to a broiler house and the slope of the floor is crazy, such that once the birds are put there, once the birds are placed in the house, they all roll to the one side of the house, and that's very bad. I have to recommend that they rework the floor of that pen. And when it comes to building standard poultry houses, this is not a place where you want to start managing funds. Of course, we don't expect you to use the most expensive building materials on the market. However, there are critical things that you need to consider. Housing is one of the major investments that you would make, and it's not something you want to keep building. You don't want to build the same house over and over again. Once you build it, you want it to stand the test of time. 5 years, 10 years, even 20 years, you want the house to still be standing. So if you use quality materials, it means that the house will be there and you won't have to worry about renovating the house year after year. It also means that you can concentrate your effort, your energy on other areas of production instead of having to worry about the structure. And then apart from the material choice, you want to build a structure that will provide comfort for the birds that you are bringing in. You don't want a structure that is not following the east-west orientation, for example, that will allow too much of solar radiation to penetrate the house and the birds are just panting throughout the day. What kind of production do you want to expect from such buildings? So make sure that you engage professionals when you are building your poultry house. One of the things that the lucky clients who have worked with us are enjoying is that all of the production-related promises that we make, they actually eat them. If we say, okay, if you build a house like this, it will ensure that the birds are comfortable and they are able to give you 92-93% production during their peak period. They get that, and that's the joy of poultry farming, when you achieve your target, when you are able to hit those targets. So because of those of you who are yet to subscribe to the channel or click that like button, I might just stop at number 4. Okay, have you decided to click that subscribe button and then the like button, and then you want to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future upload? All right, let's continue with number 5. So the 5th one is using low quality feed or wrong feeding practices. Yeah, feeds and feeding have to go together. There are times that people use high quality feed, but the way they feed it to their chickens give them very poor results. Yeah, so on quality feed, in my years of consulting, I've seen people who still believe that chickens, once they eat, just have to convert regardless of what they have eaten. But that's wrong. It is important what you have fed to the chickens. For broilers, for example, it is those feed that you give to them that they are expected to convert. I call them meat machines. They convert it into meat. So if you give them poor quality feed, you don't expect them to grow as fast as birds that are being fed with quality feed. But don't get me wrong, if you are using a quality feed and your feeding practice is also wrong, they may not deliver the kind of results that you want. For example, one common practice is that you should feed your birds during the cool of the day. I've had a lot of clients call and they will say the birds were so much healthy in the morning, but all of a sudden later in the afternoon stroke evening, they just saw them dying, flipping over, stretching their necks and all that. And I'll just ask them, how old are they? They'll tell me maybe 4 weeks, broilers now, 4 weeks of age. I can expect that a 4 weeks old broiler should be over 1.5 kg. And at that time, they are already getting heavy. So I'll ask again, are you still feeding them in the hot afternoon? They'll say, yeah, they are eating hardly. We don't starve them. We give them feed all the time. And they think they are helping the birds by giving them feed ad libitum. So I just tell them, stop feeding them in the hot periods of the day and the mortality will stop. They will definitely call me back after 48 hours and say, oh, the mortality has stopped. There are some other things I might tell them to do for that at that instant, and they will just stop seeing mortality. So once you have selected the quality feed that you are using for your flock, you also want to ensure that you embrace good feeding practice. Yeah, these are some of the things you need to know as regards feeds and feeding. But if you want to have an in-depth knowledge about feeds and feeding, we have poultry courses. We have for broilers, we have for layers. You might want to check the link in the description below. For the broilers, you would understand how to feed them to achieve the highest weight possible in the shortest period of time. And for the layers, you will learn how to feed layers that are meant to lay maximum number of eggs and then deliver to you massive egg sizes without breaking the bank. So once again, I'll leave the links in the description below. If you're a layer farmer or you're planning to start layer farming and you want to really understand how many eggs or how much of eggs you should expect from your flock of layers, I made this video a while ago. Make sure you watch it.